Hey everyone, and welcome back to the live stream. Whether you are here live catching the video stream live or you are watching the live stream, I am glad that you are tuning in. And today we're going to be talking about things you need to know for 2025. And of course, I will be answering questions that come along the way. Super chats do take priority over other questions. So whether you're studying for the CPC exam or you're trying to break into medical coding or trying to just get some tips or just build some community, this is the place to be. Now, before we jump in, let me know in the chat where you are watching from and how things are going in your coding journey. And as always, if you find this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe so that you never miss another live stream or another video. You have to hit that notification bell so that you get all those notifications. But without further ado, let's get started on today's live stream. Hey everyone, and happy Monday. I am broadcasting today here from the home studio instead of the studio, I guess, the work studio. And yeah, I'm excited to be back again. Another great Monday. Weather's starting to warm up here in Pennsylvania, but I have my eye on the prize that we are about a month away from Healthcon. I actually got the notification today that I'm about 31 days from when I leave because I'm heading out a little bit early. I want to make sure I catch Teach the Teacher this year because of all the changes that happened with the ebooks and stuff. I want to make sure that I get all of that good information and am able to bring it back to all of you guys. On the topic of HealthCon, when I'm usually at HealthCon, I like to interview some people while I'm there, have those interviews posted on the channel. And I have been scoping out who all is going to be at conference. A lot of the people I wind up interviewing are usually like the speakers that are there. But if you are going to HealthCon and have not downloaded the app yet, you're not going to hit my radar for people yet that I know are going to HealthCon. So if you are going and you haven't added the new AAPC HealthCon app, make sure you do that yet, because otherwise I won't know that you're going to be at HealthCon or not. And I won't potentially tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, why don't you come and sit down with me and do an interview? So yeah, I'm really excited to be back for another live stream, talk about everything that's going on. I want to say hi to some people in the chat. So we have here Ashwanda coming in from Pittsburgh. Talia, can't wait to see you in a few weeks now over down in HealthCon. CRC instructor exam, good luck for you with that one. And Kari, I haven't seen you in forever, girl. One of these days I got to make my way down to something that you're attending in Lancaster. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to attend, I think, some kind of rev cycle thing recently. And I think I saw it and then totally blipped it off my radar. I was out to Harrisburg for their chapter presentation not too long ago. Good afternoon to you, Lisa. Monday's going pretty well so far. I actually just did an interview with Brian Murphy for the Off the Record podcast. And it was so funny because I was talking to him about kind of my background and where I've been. And I was joking how I am somehow never, for my entire career, able to escape the hospitalist. The very first coding position I ever got was coding for hospitalist services. And then the next coding position I got, they're like, yeah, you're going to be senior coder here. The first thing we need you to do is shadow one of the hospitalists. And then the next coding job I got, they're like, yeah, we hired you and another auditor, and we're going to break off these things. One of the things we need you to do is go and shadow the hospitalist. And I no sooner finished up this call with Brian Murphy than I got an alert from Code Health, and they're like, hey, we need someone to code hospitalists, and you're already pre-approved that you went through the assessment. And I'm like, well, I do want to pick up something right now to keep my coding stuff up to snuff. So yeah, I might be coding hospitalists again. Kimberly's in here. She says, hello from Florida. I just passed my CPC, trying to freshen skills and figure out next step. I work for hospitalist group now. That's so funny. I'm telling you, those hospitalists, I never seem to escape them. And it's really fascinating to be able to shadow your providers, because I feel like you understand a little bit more of their workflow when you're able to actually go in and see it. And we don't see that too often anymore, where you're able to go in and kind of sit and shadow with your providers, since we've been doing so much remotely for how many years now. So I have some questions coming in here from Instagram, and let me scroll back because I feel like I missed one or two. Is the risk management certification or cert, is the regular coding program a prerequisite? So I'm not quite sure. If we're talking about risk management, or are you talking about risk adjustment? So I'm not 100% sure what certification you're talking about. If you could let me know if it's maybe like the CRC, the Certified Risk Adjustment Coder, or something else, because I'm not super familiar with like risk management in like healthcare versus like risk adjustment coding. So yeah, if you're talking about risk adjustment and the CRC, if you are interested in getting the CRC credential, there is no order in which you have to obtain any certain certifications through the AAPC. So if we go ahead and look at the AAPC website here, they have a whole bunch of certifications. And most people start with the CPC. That's the most common. It's their most popular credential. It has been their most popular credential. I know a couple years ago they said CRC, I think, was like the second or third. I think it might be CPC, maybe then CPMA, and then CRC, but it's definitely within the top few. And you don't have to get your CPC before you get your CRC. You can go right to CRC if you want. It's just that then there's a bit more of a narrow scope of jobs that you're able to qualify for, because for the CPC you're learning different code sets. You're learning ICD-10-CM, you're learning CPT, and you're learning HCPCS. And the CPC is a lot of CPT coding, so it's professional fee coding, and most of their reimbursement is based off of CPT codes. So the exam is heavy into CPT coding. The CRC, though, is just ICD-10-CM. The bulk of the exam, if you look at the exam breakdown, there we go. If you look at the exam breakdown, the majority of it is ICD-10-CM coding, really, really in-depth coding for ICD-10-CM. And then let's see if I can find it. And then also concepts about like what's a Medicare Advantage plan, reimbursement, documentation issues, quality of care, the different models, and then some cases, most of which is diagnosis coding. So the big bulk of the risk adjustment coding certification is going to be diagnosis coding of those 100 questions. The rest is going to be kind of things pertaining to the audits around risk adjustment coding, documentation errors, but it's really, really heavy in depth, and not all ICD-10-CM coding. The conditions that are common to risk adjust. So if you look at this whole list here, these are the codes that are the conditions that they really, really want you to know how to code for. So amputations, artificial openings. So it's not going to be a lot of things that are minor acute conditions. It's not going to be a lot of OBGYN stuff or preventative care. It's going to be these high risk conditions that have these risk adjustment factors to it. I think it's a great credential. I think it would probably be, if you want to have better opportunities starting out of the gate, it would probably be better to start with your CPC and then get into your CRC. But you can start with your CRC first if you want to. That's absolutely an option. But again, like the CPC, they're going to want you to know at least some med term starting out. So let me just do one thing real quick, because I know sometimes if I add stuff to the cart, it might accidentally like flash up my address or something. So let's see if I want to CRC certification overview, get trained. Okay. So let's see what it does if I add this to my cart. Okay, I can show you this. So when you add this to your cart, it's going to ask you for those prerequisites. So you're going to need at least med term. They say anatomy and pathophysiology is pretty important too. And for the CRC exam, I would kind of have to agree with that. You do not have to take these, though, through the AAPC. So if you've already taken med term and pathophysiology somewhere else, or you're like, you know what, I think $995 is a lot to ask, and you can maybe take it through a community college or for an online program, or maybe your library offers something for free, or you're even like, you know what, I think I can find some YouTube videos and learn this on my own. You can do that as well. And also, there's some resources that I think are really, really great. I'll bring up the one that I like. I thought I brought up my bookshelf, but maybe not. Sign in. So there's a book I have the digital version of. I think I have an older paper one of. I think there's a 5th edition that just came out very recently of it. But here, this is the MedTerm and Anatomy for medical coding. And this one is really, really good if you just want to learn MedTerm and some A&P and see how it ties into medical coding. This is a really fantastic resource. So you can buy this as an ebook. You can get it on Amazon as a paper book. You can also go onto the Vital Source bookshelf and rent it. Like if you're like, I only need this for 3 months just to study and I don't ever want to have to look at it again, you can do that. And then I think you can pay like a lower price for it, like maybe $30 or $40 instead of paying the whole 100 or around that to get it outright and have all the licensing for a lifetime, I guess. But yeah, this is a really good book. It's a really good reference. But again, I think the 5th edition came out recently. The only difference between editions is because this ties into medical coding, the codes might have changed. Now, the med-term anatomy parts haven't changed. We haven't discovered anything new or new appendages or body structures about the human body since the previous editions. But those codes that they're kind of tying them into might have changed. So if you find like a 4th or a 3rd edition and it's super cheap and you're like, oh my God, I found this is only $20 and is this still going to be worth it? It probably will be, because the only thing that will have changed is some of those codes that we're referencing. The med term actual components of it are still completely accurate. Yeah, I use that book in my course. It's a great one. It is very highly recommended. And if you are looking forward to buy it on Amazon, I do believe I have it linked in the video description under my book recommendations for 2025. Laura Love says, I just got my A removed. How do I go about applying for other positions? I'm currently working in an indefinite contract job, but want to be somewhere permanent. Yeah, that's understandable. So there's a couple of things you can do. One of my top recommendations when you're looking for jobs is sometimes it's hard to get that first job that either title is medical coder, right? So you want to look for maybe something that's coding adjacent. You can go into here in like an Indeed.com or a LinkedIn and type in ICD-10. And then anything where they're listing that they're looking for someone with a skill set in ICD-10 will come up. Now, if you're someone who is looking for that first job, you have no experience, you can filter these further by the experience level. And you can do that for LinkedIn and a lot of these places as well. The other place is the AAPC job board. And I have been seeing some more postings there. And I believe they have moved the externships now onto the job boards, although I haven't seen any lately. So intermediate manager, senior, entry level. And it looks like not all of them have a selection for what experience level they're at. But here are some entry-level positions that have at least been flagged as entry-level. But if we move that, it says 2,211 jobs. But if we look at all of these experience levels, that doesn't equate 2,000 plus jobs. So not everyone has probably selected that filter of what the level is. I guess they maybe didn't make it a requirement. But that's another place that you can check for jobs in medical coding. So that's jobs.aapc.com, and that's their job board. And I think this one, if you're looking for a remote position, you can also just put in remote here as well. So Indeed, LinkedIn, AAPC job board, and of course, getting in touch with your local chapters. I am a big proponent of AAPC local chapters and networking. And I believe it was Bertram who came in here once and gave some advice. And I need to touch base with him because he's in Florida and I haven't seen him on the listing of people coming to Healthcon yet. But he says, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So you need to get in and make sure that people know you and know what your skill sets are. It's not just necessarily about knowing all of the people and knowing the recruiters. It's that when a recruiter is looking for a position or someone else is looking for a position and they think, okay, well, who are the coders that I know that know cardiology, or who do I know that's entry level and is looking for a job, that they know you. I have a question here from Miguel. Hi, from South Carolina. I'm engaged in a self-study course for a HEMA certification. I'm starting the second module of the course and going into understanding CPT. Do you have self-studies tips you can share? So I'm not super familiar with some of the AHEMA side of it. I'm going to, full disclosure, I've never been the biggest AHEMA fan. And lately, with some of the things that have been going, they've been having a lot of, I don't know if I want to call them hiccups, or I feel weird calling them growing pains because they've been around for so long. I guess they really shouldn't be having growing pains. But in any case, they're having some struggles right now, and it sounds like they're on the right track, hopefully, to get them straightened out. And I really, really want HEMA to be successful, but there's been a lot of frustrating things that are happening with CEUs, with their website, with people not being able to submit their CEUs. So it's definitely not encouraged me to get more involved with the HEMA, unfortunately. So yeah, as far as self-study tips for certifications, look for, I guess first off, it depends on if you're going for CCS or CCSP. From what I understand from AHEMA, there really aren't a lot of people that hold the CCSP anymore. And they're even talking about getting rid of, I guess, the CCA, because they're looking to save some money, and a lot of people are just going for the CCS instead of the CCA. So it's something that they're investigating, looking into. But yeah, as far as study tips, one thing I can advise you, as I'm opening my 50,000 tabs up over here, I don't know about anyone else, but I wind up having so many windows, and each individual window has so many tabs that I'll eventually get to a point where I'm like, I don't know anymore. I'm just going to restart my whole computer and clear the whole slate, because I just cannot stand having so many tabs open. But let's see here. If we go to the main channel page, I have playlists set up because there's certain things that come up a lot, and things are very popular, like E&M coding, like CPC preparation. So I have playlists set up so that you can direct the most common things and like the most things that you're going to need a series of. So like how to get started in medical coding, and then CPC exam tips. So this is just tips for taking the actual exam. But then I have one that's called the CPC review. So if you're looking for breakdowns of CPT coding, those start in right around here. And I just updated the HCPCS video. So it starts out, this follows more so the CPC sequence. So if you're taking a different certification exam, you might want to jump to a different section, or there might be some parts where I'm speaking specifically about the CPC exam that might not apply to you. But again, just a lot of great information. So it starts with that flow, though, of the CPC exam, business, some midterm review, where I more so go over like the resources that you can use during the exam if you're not sure about some midterm stuff, general of ICD-10, and then we get into how to use the CPT book, how to use the HCPCS book, and then breakdown of each section. So integumentary, musculoskeletal, respiratory, cardiovascular, heme lymph, digestive, and we go through each section. Actually, I think there might be some that I either need to add to the playlist or maybe still have to add on because I feel like I did one in Path and Lab, but it's not showing here. So, and then I have job tips, case studies, evaluation and management coding. I've had people tell me that they're managers and that when they hire new coders and they're not sure about E&M coding, they're like, hey, there is this whole playlist here on E&M coding, how to code it, and you can watch the whole thing. So that's some breakdown there. If you're looking for additional study materials, I would say the official study guides for those certifications are good. Be a little bit careful about things that you find on like Amazon or eBay. People have been self-publishing a lot of stuff on Amazon lately just because they want to make a quick buck, and not all of it is super helpful or super good quality. I'm having some questions come in through Instagram. Any remote jobs for Indians with the CCS certification? The international stuff is not something I have a lot of experience with. And we are starting to see some employers kind of wheeling back a little bit because there's been cases that have gone to court where organizations have hired coders in India or Pakistan or Egypt, and there were data breaches, and they thought that they had this very airtight I guess, agreement in place where, they said, oh, well, if the data gets breached, it's going to be that offshore coding institution that is going to be liable for it. And the courts have said, no, that's not going to happen. You, US company, are going to be held liable for that, and you're going to have to absorb those damages. So people are a little bit more reluctant now to send medical records offshore because of all of those kind of instances like that. And of course, HIPAA violations as well. But there are organizations out there that do that. Specifically which ones, I'm not really sure. There's another question here on Instagram. Can you discuss the benefit of getting a CPMA certification? I've been a CPC for 3 years. I'm ready to move forward with my career, but I'm unsure of what route to take. Yeah, I think the CPMA is kind of a good next step. And that was certainly my next step after I got my CPC certification. And I don't think we had quite as many robust certifications back there. But so CPMA, what you need to understand is, just for the general audience, when we talk about CPC, the CPC is Certified Professional Coder. CPC Professional meaning professional billing or provider-based billing on the CMS 1500 form. So when we say CPMA, that's Certified Professional Medical Auditor. So auditing pro-fee coding, auditing services that are billed provider-based on the 1500 form. So CPC, and then CPMA is auditing. When we're talking about the exam, it's not just going to be coding. So there's a lot of questions about medical record standards, documentation guidelines, compliance and regulatory, coding and reimbursement, scope, quality assurance, communication, medical record audit abstracting. So there's going to be actual cases that you have to go through. And there's going to be 36 questions on these cases. So some of the cases they're going to ask you multiple questions on. With the CPMA, yeah, I think it's a good next step. I've had instances in the past where I had my CPMA and I was working in an umbrella of a certain department and then was shuffled over into a larger arm of the department. And I had my CPMA, my title changed to, I think, from educator to auditor or something. So under the new job description, it said I had to have my CPMA, and I had a coworker that did not have her CPMA. So I got to breathe easy because I didn't have to worry about that. But she was like rushing really quick to try and get her CPMA because she was afraid, like, oh, well, what happens then if they say that you can't keep this job anymore because you don't have the certification? I think it's a good idea if you want to get into auditing to have that certification in your back pocket. So that way, when something does open up, you can say, hey, well, you know what? You can see my motivation towards moving into this because I've already gotten this certification in auditing. I've already obtained this, and I've already demonstrated that proficiency level in it. Miss Kitty Patrol says, have you ever heard of the Ed2Go class for coding and billing? If so, would you recommend it? Ed2Go, a lot of people, I think, have Ed2Gos, I guess, with attached to their community college. They're not terrible, but they're not anything to write home about, I'll say that. I've personally never taken it, so maybe I could be off the mark. Maybe they've changed it since last I've heard feedback about it. But Ed2Go, it's from what I understand, it's kind of bare bones. So if it's something that maybe you would get because it's an employee benefit, yeah, go for it. If it's something that you're getting because it's like super budget friendly, yeah, go for it. This person here says Ed2Go sucks. So, so there's something else to think about there. There are better programs out there. If you want to get certified in billing and coding, you can go directly from the AAP to the AAPC website and get everything you need to there. It might not be as budget friendly as some of the other programs out there. I don't know what Ed2Go kind of charges these days. It might depend on if you're getting it directly from them or through a community college. Because like I said, I think it's like community colleges pay to have that for people to take it online through their college. But you can go directly from the AAPC and get their like CPC and CPB bundle. And the self-paced course, $3,799, and that'll include the course, code lookup subscription, membership. Now, of course, that doesn't include, I believe, books. I think this one does include maybe the books and the exam fee and stuff, so that's a little bit more. If you're looking for the program I personally recommend, though, I would highly suggest that you check out my medical coding masterclass at medicalcodingmasterclass.com. That's kind of the roadmap of how to get into medical billing and coding, what the job expectations are, what certifications are respected in the organizations, tips to make you a little bit more appealing to employers as well. And it talks about the program that I recommend, which is called Preppy. If you've not heard of Preppy, they are through the University of Auburn. And it's a very good on-demand, budget-friendly option. So if we look at the pricing right now of Preppy, it is $15.99. They do have payment plans. Now, the benefit of paying all at once versus the payment plan is if you pay all at once, they do include a laptop. The laptop is a Chromebook, so it's not like you're getting, a high-speed gaming computer, but it's something that's functional for your studies if you need it. And then there's the only thing that you would need to buy extra if you decide to pursue a certification like the CPC is you would have to purchase membership to the AAPC and the voucher for whatever exam you want to get, which I would encourage you to get the CPC. So those would be the two things you would have to buy separate. Since we're in March now, so the month before last, they've allowed you to use ebooks, so you can buy a voucher to take the Certified Professional Coder exam and select that you want ebooks, and they will embed ebooks in the exam platform for you, so you don't have to pay extra to use books. If you want physical books, you have to buy your own physical books and take them with them. But other than that, yeah. And it's a really good program, and I work really closely with Preppy. So if there's ever concerns or things going on, definitely let me know or let Preppy know because they work through them. They're like on top of things. They're amazing. They take such good care of all of the viewers that I recommend over to them. Does the AAPC have payment plans right now? They pretty much always have payment plans. I believe they have a couple of different companies that they work with. And let me see what it says here when I click on it. I want to say it's like a firm, maybe. Where is it? Come on. No, maybe it's... What's going on? Hold on. Yeah, they do have payment plans. I think there is interest with them, though. Let's see if it says when I add it to my cart, if I check out. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so I don't want to show you right now because when I go to the checkout page, it shows them, but it also shows my address. But they do have payment plans through Affirm and through Climb. So you have to be, I guess, approved from them. They usually have you put in, I think, your phone number or something and run not so much a hard credit check, but they do check something and can possibly approve you then for payment plans. So yeah, they do have payment plans directly through the AAPC. Also, excuse me. Check with if you're currently employed, check with your employer and see if they have some sort of tuition reimbursement. You might be able to go to a tech school or a community college at a discount through your employer. You could consider getting a job in healthcare and then using their tuition reimbursement. Oftentimes, healthcare employers want you to stay in various healthcare jobs with them. So they might give you a really, really good reimbursement rate or tuition assistance. And then also check out your community colleges and your tech schools near you because sometimes you might get some sort of grant or special funding in order to take courses there. But what you're really, really looking for is you want a certification. If you want to work specifically in medical coding, you want a certification through AAPC or a HEMA. Medical billing, they really don't have a lot of hard and fast rules yet about certification requirements, but for medical coding, they want to see certifications through either AAPC or a HEMA. If you go through certain organizations like your community college, they will often include a certification that's not through those organizations. And while there's nothing wrong with that, they will demonstrate your proficiency. It's something good to have and might be beneficial for those billing jobs. If you want to get a medical coding job, I am telling you, there's only pockets of areas that are going to accept something other than an AAPC or an HEMA certification. Jennifer says, I got my associate's degree 9 years ago as an RHIT. Currently studying for the CPC test. Do you think most employers recognize my degree as good enough until I get my CPC certification? It depends. There's a lot of employers I've encountered that don't count the RHIT as a coding credential because it encompasses so many other things. Although I have known employers to hire coders with RHITs with the stipulation that they will get their CPC certification within a certain period of time. Duchess says, do you have any advice on taking the CPCO certification course? And I did see something else about the CPCO. So I've not personally taken the CPCO. That's not one that I have under my belt. I've known a couple of people that have it. I think some of the girls that I've known that worked in compliance, and I shouldn't say girls, some of the people, individuals that I know that work in compliance, seem to have a preference for, I believe it's the CHC, which is through a different organization. But the CPCO, let's take a look at that. I think I did buy a study guide for that not too long ago. Excuse me. It's under taking the exam, and then we'll scroll down to the bottom. I always have to double check because every now and then I think I know what the exam entails, and then I find out that it's like the one where they ask you a couple of extra questions or something. So 5 questions on healthcare compliance, 22 on the OIG compliance plan, 3 compliance program guide for third-party billing companies and clinical labs, OIG compliance program, key and other risk areas, 19 questions, fraud and abuse, 12 questions, other laws and regulations, investigation process and audits, and then references and resources. So I guess testing you about federal regulation, citations, references, OIG, and then CMS and Medicaid and workers' compensation. But yeah, as far as studying for the CPCO and additional resources for that one, yeah, that's not one I'm super approved with. No physical references are allowed. All necessary materials are available within the exam. Oh, yeah. Just started looking for information on AHEMA, and I'm not real impressed with navigating their site. I can't even find how many CEUs you need every 2 years. Yeah, their website has been, it's been a problem for a while. And I thought that they were starting to get into the right direction because they had gotten a new CEO and they had started these micro credentials. And I'm like, cool. Like they see that there's some other opportunities here. They're going to branch out, get some additional certifications. And I'm not sure exactly what all was happening behind the scenes, but then the CEO left and they redid the website, but I feel like it just kind of made it worse. A lot of people are complaining that they can't get their CEUs in, that they're getting notifications that they are going to lose their credentials because it didn't accept the CEUs that they submitted. So there's a lot of problems. They're looking at it. They're trying to be as transparent. They've been hosting some town halls. I haven't been able to get to their town halls because my account's been I haven't even been able to log into my AHEMA account. They said they reset it for me, and I haven't tried to log in since. But hopefully it's working again. I have a question coming in on Instagram. What if I got a certificate from school but never took the test? Is there a refresher I can take? So there is. Uh, one of the things I want to stress with people when you are learning medical coding and you're looking at medical coding programs, there is no program in and of itself that when you complete it, it's like, okay, now you finish this and you're a CPC or you're a certified coder or you're a CCS or anything like that. You will get a certificate of completion saying, hey, you completed training, but you have to sit for a proctored examination to become a certified coder and you have to pass that examination. Now, there are some refresher tools that I would recommend if you've been out of it for a little while. So one is, let's see here. If you are looking to take the CPC exam, they do have reviews available. So sign up for a 1-day exam review. And the CPC online exam review, you can get self-paced online exam review, and you can also bundle it if you want to get the practice exams, and that'll be a good assessment of where you are and if you're ready. Excuse me. I really like the practice exams because they do mimic the actual exam. It's not the same questions. There's no questions that are on this practice exam that are going to be exactly on the CPC exam. But they might be very similar. They might test you on a very similar concept that might be on your exam. So that's something you could do. You could also consider, there's some books that I really like that you could just revisit some concepts. That's called the Buck Step-by-Step Medical Coding. That's usually a pretty affordable option as well. So if you want a refresher, you could go through that and maybe get some practice exams. I think those are good options. And local chapters lately have been hosting review classes as well. So you can check if you're still a member of the AAPC with your local chapters to see if they're hosting any review classes. Because sometimes those are more affordable than the ones that you get through the AAPC. Speaking of which, there's a question here. Can I go to local chapters when I do not have my CPC certification yet? Yes. So if you are a member of the AAPC, you can go to local chapters. Check to see if there is a fee for anything that you're attending, though, because sometimes if they're having maybe a half-day seminar or a special event, or you're visiting from a chapter that's one other than the one you're assigned to, you can go as an AAPC member. As a non-AAPC member, you are allowed to attend 2 chapter events before you will be asked to become a member. So if you're not at that point yet where you even want to get your membership, because as soon as you have your membership, you have 1 year until you need to renew it. So maybe if you're not planning on testing right away, you might not want to do that right away. But in any case, Um, with the non-members, if you're a non-member, you can go attend 2 meetings, and then they will ask you like, "Hey, since you've been coming, we would like you to become a member." But yeah, you can go to different chapters. I personally, I'm in an area where I have a few chapters locally, so I will go in person and visit. I was at a seminar in Harrisburg not too long ago. I've been out to Philadelphia. I've been out to Lancaster, Allentown, Reading. So I've been to quite a few local chapters in my area. There used to be another one out towards Montco, but they closed. Do I have any videos on how to use the E&M calculator on the CPC exam? I feel like I might, but I don't know if I specifically titled them that way. Let me take a look. Hmm. Case studies. Maybe I put them in there. Yeah, I feel like I do have some videos where I do use that, but I'm not sure if I've titled them in such a way where you would know that that's what I'm doing. Oh, look at how cute my old did I do that or did my old editor do that in the video? Anyway, um, so yeah, the video ooh, that was an old video. I do have some, but I couldn't tell you which ones, but I'm gonna add that actually onto my list of things to make some videos about, to specifically go over the E&M calculator. 'Cause that is a little bit different than what you would look at in your book or audit sheets that we would normally use in coding. Let me get into my content list. Content ideas. Okay, we're gonna scroll down. And that will be content idea number 499. How to use the E&M calculator during the CPC exam. Good idea. So one of the videos I'm also doing this this month is HCPC's practice cases, because it's covered so little in so many different programs, and a lot of people just want a little bit of extra boost, or instructors want something that they can send to their students that they're like, "Hey, here's some extra help, watch this video." So I actually have coming out this month a video where I go through like 10 HCPC's practice cases. And what I've done now is I actually made, and I can probably show you guys here if I can. My computer is going so slow right now. I actually made I need to delete some files. I've just about got my hard drive full, and I think some of my other stuff on this computer is getting a little funny on me because now File Explorer is not working. Okay, let me show you. I can show you how I did it in Canva. Maybe we can do that. Or, yeah. So what I did was I designed a background that looks kind of like the background for the CPC exam or for the AEPC exams. So that way, when I'm making mock questions, I can put them in a PowerPoint that is like on this template, and it will kind of look like the exam. So you're familiar with kind of like what it's going to look like. But yeah, the E&M calculator will be embedded in your exam. So for those questions that you have on E&M, it will be in there, and it looks just like the one that's on the AEPC website. So if you have an E&M question, it's basically a link to this. And that is on the AEPC website. I think it might be under their resources. Hold on. Software and services. Resources. Let's see if I can find where it is other than just Googling it. Ugh. So much stuff. Podcast, software and services, calculators and tools. There it is, E&M calculator. So it's under software and services, calculators and tools, E&M calculator. And this is exactly what's going to be embedded in the exam, so that if you get an E&M question and you need to calculate the level of service, this is what you're utilizing. Yep. So let's say office visit, established, and they'll start prompting you through things. But yeah, I think that would be a great topic for videos, is to just go over specifically how to use this calculator and then title the video in such a way that people can easily find it. So if we go through medical decision making, we start clicking, all the different things, it'll help calculate out the level for us. So here, this one came out to like a 99214. Ooh, this is a good question. Is there a discount for AAPC students to attend Healthcon? So here's what I'm going to tell you. I am no longer an independent instructor through the AAPC, so I haven't seen the contracts for this calendar year. But I can tell you that the one that I had for last year, which I didn't renew, had on there that one of the things independent instructors were allowed to offer was discounted conference registration. And I want to say it was like $100. So if you're through an independent instructor, like you are going through, I think AMCI, or I don't even know who's all the independent instructors anymore. I don't know if Maya Turner is one right now. But in any case, if you're going through an independent instructor, they might be able to offer you as a student a discounted student registration to Healthcon. And I honestly want to say it was like $100. I might be able to pull up the old contract and look. So, and I don't know if that's still in there because I haven't seen the contract for this year, but I know that was something that was previously in the contracts for independent licensed instructors for the AAPC, that they could offer that to their students. I wonder if I have it in my drive somewhere. Let's take a look. Instructor license. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. But yeah, that's only going to apply to, I think, like a handful of people. Oh, here it is. Victoria Moll, blah, 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 blah. That's all the stuff I redlined out. And yeah, Healthcon student. Oh, $195. That's what it was last year. So they might still have that option for licensed instructors to sell discounted memberships for Healthcon. I don't know what the price is now, but it was $195. What else have we got here? Sally says we need more videos with Pearl, especially her E&M ones. I know. It's just that I had this vision in my head that I'm like, I'm going to teach E&M coding with an axolotl puppet. And then I watched the video back and I'm like, this didn't come out. Like it didn't turn out the way that I envisioned it in my head. And I just never kind of got back to it then. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited about getting to Healthcon. And Tuesday night, included in the Healthcon registration, is a day, or not a day, I guess an evening at Disney. I don't know what park I'm currently selected at because I'm all over the place. But I'm very excited about it, to go and hang out. I was texting another one of my coding friends today, just like, are you going? Because I didn't see you on the list of people, because I stalk the attendee list. Oh, I wanted to mention, because I saw a big uptick in course sales after my last live stream, because I did not realize that I have not mentioned very often that I do have a YouTube viewer discount for my courses. So right now I only have 2. My CPC review course is getting there. I'm doing tweaks on it, and then I have to send it to someone to make it pretty, and then I have to, of course, record it. But if you use the code YouTube50, it will actually take 50% off of either of the courses that I'm selling or any courses that I will be selling in the future. So if you're interested in either preparing for the CRC exam or doing my beginner's guide to E&M and you type in code YouTube50, it will give you 50% off registration for those courses. So the CRC one's really good, and I'm hoping to get that CPC one out. I really need to start working more on courses, but it's so hard to get the videos out and do the live stream and then all the other medical coding things and then also produce courses. So I have a question here. Are there private tutors to help with my 2025 exam? Can we hire a private instructor? Absolutely, you can. The one lady that I know on LinkedIn is like booked solid. But let's see, because I know she was posting something recently. And she does a couple of different certifications. So I think she does CPC. She might do CCS, and I know she does CRC. But let me pull up her posts so I can share that with you. That's Shannon, and she's very lovely. But yeah, she has tutoring that she offers, and people have said that they like her tutoring. The other thing you can do is there's two websites. There's tutors.com. And they do have medical coding tutors. And then there's Wyzant.com. So it's WYZANT. And that's another website that you can look for as well. I think if you type in probably CPC. Yeah. So CPC tutors, there's lots of people and a variety of budgets, I guess, available. So if you're looking for a tutor, you can check those two websites, or you can check there with Shannon on LinkedIn. How long do you have access to the courses? So my courses, I do not have termination dates for. As long as I am in business, you will have access to them. I do guarantee at least 1 year. And that's more so in case for some reason I would need to get rid of my website at any point in time. I can say that, like, okay, well, you'll get at least a year from when you've signed on. But yeah, there's no setting that I go in and I go, okay, well, after a certain amount of time, I'm going to cut your access. If you've purchased it, you're going to have access to that course for as long as I have it up, basically. The CEUs might term at some point, because I believe my CRC course has CEUs. The E&M one does not. I'm probably not going to offer one for the CPC course that I'm going to put, or the CPC review course, rather. Just for the sole purpose of most people, for the CPC is their first credential. So I feel like it wouldn't really make sense to get CEUs for something that the majority of people won't even be able to apply those CEUs for. But yeah, I might reconsider it, but it's just the cost of CEUs anymore is ridiculous. So if you're not familiar, if you are a vendor and you want to get approved for CEUs, like, let's say you're a company and you're like, hey, we want to offer some free webinars to people and give them free CEUs. You have to get approved as a vendor. And then there is a CEU information for vendors. Then there's like a schedule of how much it costs for. No, that's not what I want. Hold on one second. CEU information, vendors. And then there's the fee schedule. There we go. So if you want to offer CEUs for something and sell like a webinar and offer CEUs for it, one CEU is $330. So if you have maybe like a 4-hour course that you want to sell, you have to pay the AAPC $720 in order to offer 4 CEUs for it. And that's just for 1 year. So if you want to offer it again the next year, you have to pay another $720. So if you're going to offer CEUs, you have to make sure that you're going to make at least $720 off of it. Or if you're a big business, it might be worth it because you might say, okay, well, we're going to spend $720 for CEUs, but hopefully it will encourage these people to buy more of our services and we'll make back that and more because we'll sell them encoders or education or consulting or what have you. The one thing I will say is if you're an independent instructor, like you have an instructor license with the AAPC, you do pay them upfront like several $1,000s to license their material, but then they also give you some CEU applications included in that. So that is one of the perks of being a licensed instructor with them. I have Caseinator here asking, hi, I'm new and find your channel so helpful. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Do you recommend for someone who is getting their certification through a different university to online test prep from the AAPC? So if you're going through another organization like a university or a college or a tech school, you're going to get that certificate of completion from them that says you have trained in medical billing and coding, for example. For medical billing jobs, they really don't necessarily want a certification. They usually won't make that a requirement. For medical coding jobs, they do. So you're going to need that certification through AAPC or through AHIMA. So yeah, you can still get some test prep from the AAPC. I really love their practice exams because they do mimic the actual exam now. I think those are so beneficial. So if you were to maybe get like a study guide in the practice exams, I think that would be really valuable for you if your aim is to get the CPC certification. The calculator question in your reply surprised me. I knew nothing about that calculator. I think there are 6 E&M questions on the exam. Will we need to use this calculator for them? Thank you. So here's the thing I'll talk to you about with the E&M calculator. So let's see. I believe it is 6, but let me take a look here. So certifications, view all certifications. CPC, and then if we go to taking the exam and scroll all the way to the bottom, it tells us how many E&M questions there's going to be. So E&M, yep, 6 questions. Although you do have to remember that those cases are a mix of anything. So it might be 6 questions exclusively on E&M, but you might also have a case that's E&M too in some of those 10 cases. So in these 6 questions, they're going to test you on all things E&M. Some of them might need to be leveled. Some of them might not need to be leveled because it might be something like a hospital discharge, which just goes based off of time, in which case you don't have to know the medical decision-making level. It's just either 30 minutes or less or more than 30 minutes. So if we, though, are calculating E&M, we have to consider knowing the level of medical decision making for a lot of these. So for example, if we're coding for an office visit, we need to know if it's a new patient or an established patient, but when we also need to know the level of medical decision making, because a 99213 is low medical decision making, a 99214 is moderate decision making, a 99215 is high level decision making. And it used to be that way back in the day, they would just tell you the level and you would just pick the code that's assigned to that level. But they don't do that anymore. They want you to know how to code out a moderate level, and then knowing that that moderate level means it's that code, right? So they do have the information on how to determine the levels, I believe, in the E&M guidelines. Yeah, here. So here's that table of medical decision making. So you could just utilize your medical decision making table and go, okay, yeah, they've got 2 or more chronic illnesses and it was prescription drug management. That means it's moderate. So since it's an established patient, that's a level 4. So you can do that and not use the calculator at all. But you can also go in and use the calculator if you want to help you along with some of your E&M calculations. So that tool will be available as well. You don't have to use the calculator if you prefer to just use what's in your book, or if you've memorized everything evaluation and management and can calculate them off the top of your head, which I used to be able to do, not quite as well anymore. But yeah, that's another option that you have. So the tools are all there. The E&M calculator is just a kind of a bonus. I was taking a practice quiz for my upcoming exam, and I have questions. All the multiple choice answers were between 8,000 and 8,020. I checked the CPT, but couldn't find that code. Do these codes exist? Are you talking about maybe like a different category code? Did they have a letter at the beginning or end of them? Because CPT codes are all 5 digits. But we do have, let's take a look here in our category codes. There's not anything here that ends has an 80,000 with an F, maybe a category 3. No. Yeah, unless it was a typo or maybe a category code that would have had a T or an F or something in it. No, and it didn't tell me to look in the CPT or ICD-10. Yeah, that I'm not sure about because they should be 5 digits. Yeah, maybe that was a typo. If it was from the AAPC directly, they usually don't have those kinds of issues. But if it was something that was kind of a different organization, sometimes they do have misprints. But in any case, I want to thank you all for spending the past hour with me. And again, if you are watching the replay, definitely let me know in the comments what you found helpful. And I'm going to work on getting some E&M calculator videos, I think, up on the channel. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate you. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, just keep on coding on.